after this completely embarrassing finish to the season. Some heads are going to be rolling, especially after this 8-1 season finale for this Red Wings team. I mean, do I need to even comment on the specifics of this game? I mean, I don't really have much to say. Both John Gibson and Cam Talbot get lit up in this one. You didn't even have Dylan Larkin playing in this one. I didn't even see him on the injury report. They just straight up benched him. And then just complete lifelessness from this Red Wings team. How? How are you going to get blown out 8-1 to a team that's been long out of the playoffs for at least 2 months now? They've got nothing to play for either. But that's how you're going to finish your 100-year anniversary season? Is an effort like that? And not only that, but this was not only the last game that we're going to have broadcast on FanDuel Sports Detroit, which, of course, came from Bally Sports Detroit, and then before that, Fox Sports Detroit. I believe, 30 years, 29 years, something like that, that the Red Wings have been broadcast on that network. That's the last ever broadcast that we're going to get on that outlet. Again, we're going to have Ken Daniels back. We're going to have Mickey Redmond back. Ozzy, all those guys. All those guys are coming back. It's just a different outlet. It's going to be Detroit Sportsnet, where the Tigers are now playing. That's where the Red Wings are going to be broadcasting their games on, starting this next season in the fall. So, yeah, last game on that network. And you're going to have people not even tune in to watch this last broadcast. And I did see they had a lot of some cool tidbits and stuff, honoring how the last 30 years or so of the Red Wings broadcasting on that network. But you're not even going to have fans tune in for it because the team is playing so poorly. Was this on anybody's television sets last night after it was, 4-0? You probably do a courtesy check later in the evening and you probably see, 6-1, 7-1. Forget it. Even though this is going to be the last time that we get to see the Red Wings for several months, I've got better things to do. I'm not going to tune in for this garbage. This team that completely, in all meanings of the word, fumbled the second half of the season, fumbled a playoff spot. Just completely embarrassing. And on top of all of that I just mentioned, this was also the last game in the booth for Woods. For Paul Woods, the color commentator on the radio broadcast, who's been doing Red Wings games for 40 years? This is how you're going to send him off? Are you kidding me? Come on. How embarrassing, Red Wings. Like, this is a game that the entire organization, all the way from Chris Ilitch, all the way down through the entire organization, down into the minor leagues, everybody in this organization needs to be ashamed of not only how this season ended, but for whatever that was last night. All you want to see from a team that had their playoff hopes dashed in heartbreaking fashion just 2 games prior, all you want to see in these last 2 games is something, anything, that can make you a little bit optimistic for the next season. Like, okay, they're eliminated from the playoffs, but they at least finished strong, had a couple of good games, and now let's look on towards next season. But losing in overtime to the Lightning and then this embarrassing performance against the Florida Panthers. There are no good vibes with this team right now going into next season. And, of course, I'm going to break down more of this in the Red Wings season autopsy. I'm going to be doing that next week. But, I mean, and we were asking this 2 years ago even. How many times can you be knocking on the door of making it back into the playoffs, but you just never break through, and you are perpetually in that mushy middle? How long? And especially this season, in this stretch of about, 5 seasons that the Red Wings have been knocking on the door, but then they have that infamous March collapse. This is the worst example of that. How many times do I need to bring it up? January 25th, Red Wings number 1 in the division, tied for first in the entire Eastern Conference, and they had a 12-point buffer between being out of the playoffs. And you completely blow it. And I think, according to some of those projections, too, I think they had, if I'm not mistaken, a 89% chance to make the playoffs. So what do the Red Wings do? In typical Red Wings March fashion, they take the 11% route. And they completely fumble the bag. Complete embarrassment. And again, breaking a little bit more of this down in the season autopsy. But man, we gotta see some improvements. So John Gibson, I'd be okay with having him back next season. I'm going to make the case for you next week as well that he is probably the only reason this team had any business even being in a playoff spot, because of his absolute heater that he was on in December and January. If it weren't for the way that he played in those 2 months, this Red Wings team would have probably been out of the playoff picture on pretty much the entire season, let's be honest. So I'm open to having Gibson back. Cam Talbot, get this guy out of here. He's completely garbage. And then, I don't know, there's two, again, this has been a consistent problem the last, 2-3 years for this Red Wings team. They have some nice pieces at the top, but man, there's just way too much mushy middle. Like some of your top line guys, Dylan Larkin, Alex DeBrincat, Lucas Raymond. That's great. That's great on the top end. And obviously, Mo Sider and Simon Edvinsson as your top 2 D-men. That's good. I think you could do better with the second-line center than Andrew Kopp. I don't mind Andrew Kopp. I know sometimes he gets a lot of heat. But I think you could do better than that. I think he's better suited. He should be a third-line guy, not a second-line guy. But then just a complete fall-off from there. There are some other nice pieces like Emmett Finney. Obviously, he's a rookie, but he's got a lot of good potential. But then, man, yikes. And I know next season with goaltenders, are we ever going to see Sebastian Cossa called up? With the season that this guy had with Grand Rapids, it's like, he should have been called up later in the season when the wheels started to fall off. When John Gibson started to lose his touch a little bit. That's when you needed to pull the trigger and get Sebastian Cossa up here. And I know in the last couple of weeks, they signed the Michigan State goaltender, Trey Augustine, to a contract that takes place next season. So it's not like you could have called up Augustine in the stretch run here, but I don't know. I think that's first and foremost what this Red Wings team needs to focus on, is finding your franchise goaltender, because they have not had one in years. It's been since Jimmy Howard. And I was not a fan of Jimmy Howard the last, season or two that he was with the Red Wings, but he was at least a franchise goaltender here for several years. And it's literally been since Howard that the Red Wings have actually had a franchise goaltender. They haven't had that. They've had a couple of just patchwork goaltenders in that time that seem to be following that trend of good, not great, but good the first season that they're with the Red Wings, and then the second season you get a sheer drop-off. We've seen that with Talbot. We've seen that with Ville Husso, Alex Nedeljkovic. And if that trend continues, we're probably going to see that with John Gibson next year, if we're being honest. That heater that he went on, especially being a road warrior, he was like almost unbeatable on the road between December and January. Don't expect that John Gibson next year. I'm just going to tamper expectations right now. Don't expect that John Gibson next year. So, again, going to break this down more in depth next week for the Red Wings season autopsy. But, man, what a, might I say, fitting end to the season for this Red Wings team to end in completely embarrassing fashion after they have already finished in completely embarrassing fashion otherwise. I mean, how many of their last games did they win? They won 5 games. 5 games in the past month. Wow. So the Red Wings season officially ends. If you look at it in strict win-loss, I'm not talking about points percentage or whatever, just strict win-loss, the Red Wings finished right at 500. 41 wins and 41 losses. Of course, 10 of those losses being overtime losses, but still you lose. 41 and 41. And that's not good enough. That's not good enough. All right. I'm frustrated, people. And I'm sure you're frustrated, too.
If you missed today's installment of On the Docket, podcast it at foxsports1019.com or wherever you get your podcasts. Be sure to tune in live weekdays at noon on Jackson's Fox Sports 101.9 FM.